ask for help.
Most of the cases that folks get involved with in our communities are at the district court, and we want to be able to be available for folks when they come to our window. A lot of folks come to the district court window because they want to get a protection order, and that can take a lot of undertaking for somebody to even get the strength up to come in and ask for something like that, and to not be available at our window to have that access. It's really, really disappointing, and something we shouldn't see happening.
We reached out to County Administrator Todd Mielke to find out why the position at the district court was cut when the decisions were being made about where to make up for a budget shortfall. He told us the county was forced to cut back the equivalent of 7 vacant full-time positions.
Really, the way that we approached this was we looked at currently vacant positions because, like I say, that was far preferable than laying anyone off that currently is employed by the county. But the other thing that we looked at for each of those departments, we looked at the trend information that they had submitted to us, district court's own numbers. Since 2019, their total caseload count has gone down 32% through the end of 2022. So that was one of the things that went into consideration.
More news after this.
End-of-life decisions are hard. Be it pre-planning or sudden loss, you need to have an advocate in your corner, which is why I wholeheartedly recommend Drennan and Ford Funeral Home and Crematory in Port Angeles, the only locally owned funeral home and crematory in Clallam County. Their expertise ensures a smooth process so you can focus on healing and being with your loved ones. Their help through the darkest time in my life will forever stay with me. Call 360-457-1210.
Septic Myths and Facts, Volume 3.
I use an additive to help my septic system work better.
Washington State doesn't recommend you use any additives in your system. There's no evidence that they improve the life of a septic, and some can even be harmful.
But how do I know if it's working or damaging my system?
By having regular inspections. A list of licensed inspection professionals is available at Clallam County Environmental Health's website at clallam.net/septic.
For 12 years now, in downtown Port Angeles, there's been one place you can count on for great food, awesome service, and a prime cocktail or craft brew. Next Door Gastropub isn't just service with a smile and a pretty plate of food. It's consistent quality and a happy team of staff members that feel more like family than business. For a unique menu, chill atmosphere, and a place that lives up to the hype, make your lunch or dinner plans and head down to Next Door Gastropub today. Visit our Facebook page for fall hours.
In other news, Governor Jay Inslee proposed a budget yesterday that could raise pay for paraeducators by $3 an hour, put more state troopers on Washington roads, and provide a $200 credit to low and moderate income Washington families to compensate for high energy costs. Inslee seeking about $2.5 billion more in overall state spending than what lawmakers allocated in April for the 2-year period ending in mid-2025. He said Wednesday he wants much of that new spending to go towards behavioral health care, housing, education, and fighting the fentanyl crisis. Altogether, Inslee's proposing a $70.9 billion operating budget, not including about $330 million in climate dollars raised from the state's new carbon auctions. Washington also has capital construction and transportation budgets, which along with the operating budget make up the state's total spending. Meantime, the Republican State Senate budget lead says it won't improve the lives of most working Washingtonians, that supplemental budget that it was proposed by the governor yesterday.
The governor wants to spend an additional $2 billion, with the majority of that going to his pet projects. Senator Linda Wilson says this is par for the course for Inslee.
This continues to spend more money, and this is basically what's happened over the course of the last 11 years that Inslee's been in office. The budget has more than doubled. That's not a good direction for Washington State.
Inslee proposes using $150 million on energy vouchers for low-income residents who have been hurt by Democrat policies such as cap and trade, which sent gas prices skyrocketing. Wilson says that's nice, but it provides only one-time relief for just a small segment of the population.
There's a whole lot of middle class, the entire working class, that are barely making it from paycheck to paycheck. And so, the high gas prices and the high grocery prices and all that are hitting everyone.
Legislators will consider the governor's spending plan and draft their own supplemental budget in the upcoming session. I'm Tracy Ellis.
A carbon monoxide poisoning death of a Washington State college student has that campus in an uproar, saying they have been complaining about the atrocious living conditions for some time. Now with this fatality at Evergreen State College, they're bringing the incident to national attention.
Students at Evergreen State College are outraged and demanding answers after a suspected carbon monoxide leak on campus that killed one student and injured 3 others just before winter break. Several students holding up signs and pointing the finger at the administration, voicing what they say is inadequate housing across campus.
So many people on this campus have been harmed by mold in the dorm.
A forensic engineering team specializing in carbon monoxide poisoning is investigating the source of that gas leak.
That's ABC's Mola Langhai with the report from Olympia. This is Newsradio KONP.
Rev up your engines, Port Angeles. First Race Car Wash is where premium Shell gas meets the ultimate car pampering experience. Swing by our convenient location for an upgraded car wash experience that'll leave your ride gleaming. Fuel up with Shell's finest and treat your car to the TLC it deserves. First Race Car Wash in Port Angeles. You're a winner every time when you've got that first race shine.
Unwrap all the best deals when you shop Coastal's Country Christmas Sale.
Coastal Farm and Ranch, just what your holidays need.
Find gifts for everyone on your list for less at Coastal. Save $15 on all men's and women's jeans, $49.99 and up. Select Georgia Romeos are on sale for $15 off. Save $200 on Rhino Metals Kodiak safes. And save 30% off men's and women's outerwear from Cat, Wrangler, Byrne, and more. Make your list, check it twice, and shop Coastal for this season's must-have gifts to give and get. Save now through December 18th at Coastal.
Coastal Farm and Ranch, just what your holidays need.
Find gifts for everyone on your list for less at Coastal.
If you want to see an animal that's right up close to you, Olympic Game Farm is the place. You'll find this ain't no zoo. See the bears that are actors and buffalo as big as tractors at the Olympic Game Farm in Squim.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast. Highs around 48 this afternoon. Under overcast skies, winds out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight. Chance for isolated rain showers. Lows dip down to about 40. Slight chance for isolated rain showers tomorrow. Highs level off around 50. Cloudy skies expected. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, 47.
From ABC Sports, this is Rich Cantu. Giannis Antetokounmpo scored a career-high 64 points, a Bucks franchise record in the Bucks' 140-126 drubbing of the Pacers last night. Afterward, it wasn't the record everyone was talking about. It was about a scuffle over the game ball that the Pacers decided to take.
I knew they had the game ball. I didn't think they had the game ball. I knew they had the ball. I don't know how it works, but I assume I cannot just walk in any arena that I play and just take the ball.
No LeBron, no problem. Anthony Davis continuing his hot play for the Lakers.
Here's Anthony Davis, slam dunk. Wow. He had 2 Spurs on him, and he just dunked over both of them.
The call on ESPN LA, that second quarter jam was over the 7'4" Wembanyama. Davis scored 37 points, and the Lakers sent the Spurs to their 18th straight loss, 122-119. This is ABC Sports. Continuing in the association, the Suns finally got their big 3 on the court for the first time, but it wasn't enough as the Nets won 116-112. Post-game, Kevin Durant talking about former teammate Draymond Green's suspension for hitting his current teammate.
Yeah, that was insane to see. Glad Nurk is all right. Never seen that before on a basketball court in an NBA game. I hope Draymond gets the help he needs. I know Draymond, and he hasn't been that way when I was around him.
Joel Embiid scored 30 of his 41 points in the first half. The Sixers crushed the Pistons 129-111, Detroit's 21st consecutive loss. Jazz topped the Knicks 117-113. Heat beat the Hornets 115-104, and the Rockets down the Grizzlies 117-104. Colleges upset in the men's top 25.
And that will end the game. Caleb Boone grabs it, and Greg McDermott, the head coach of the Creighton Blue Jays, comes over and gives Kevin Kruger a hearty congratulations.
The call on Learfield, UNLV shocked number 8 Creighton 79-64. 15th ranked FAU blew away FIU 94-60. NHL, the Devils and Bruins went to overtime in Newark.
Jack's got the legs in the oxygen. Here's Pratt.
finds Jack with a shot. He scores!
The call on the Devils Hockey Network Radio. New Jersey edged Boston 2-1 in overtime. Jets beat the Kings 5-2. The Avs skated by the Sabres 5-1, and the Islanders beat the Ducks 4-3. This is Rich Cantu, ABC Sports.
In local sports, the Port Angeles Rough Rider boys swim team outswam La Jolla yesterday, 120-39 for their second win of the season. The Rough Riders won 9 of 11 events. Earning first-place finishes were Colby Ellefson in the 100 butterfly and the 100 backstroke, Edward Gillespie in the 200 freestyle, Finn Thompson in the 50 freestyle, Nolan Medgen in the 100 freestyle, and Thomas Jones in the 500 free. In the 200 freestyle relay, it was Edward Gillespie, Killian Wachnitz, Isaac Meek, and Jack Root. In the 200 medley, it was Finn Thompson, Nolan Medgen, Thomas Jones, and Colby Ellefson. And in the 400 freestyle, it was Thomas Jones, Nolan Medgen, Finn Thompson, and Colby Ellefson. There's high school bowling action today. North Mason is at Port Angeles. Squim travels to La Jolla. Both events at 2:45 this afternoon. High school basketball action tonight. The Rough Rider boys and girls teams will be 3-touchdown favorites over Olympic. The boys tip off at 7 p.m. The Rough Rider girls host the Trojans at 7 tonight. And there's NWAC basketball action tonight as the 9th-ranked 4-2 Peninsula Pirate women travel to Pendleton, Oregon. They're taking part in the Blue Mountain Crossover Tournament. The Pirates will tip off against a 3-5 Blue Mountain team tonight at 6 p.m. And that game, as well as the Pirates games tomorrow against Chemeketa and Saturday against 7th-ranked Green River, will all be broadcast right here tonight. We'll take the air at about 5:45.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar asks, ever wonder what it would be like to live in an alternate universe? One where everything seems to work just the opposite of the way you'd expect? Well, friends, welcome to the alternate universe of Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. Mountain Dew Zero Sugar defies all the odds of the normal physics of flavor, because even though it says zero sugar right there on the bottle, when you crack one open, the taste is nothing less than outrageously delicious. Hey, transport yourself to an alternate universe with Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. Zero sugar, all dew.
The handoff to Walker. He breaks a tackle, comes back to the near side, stumbles across the 10, breaks the tackle. He is in. Touchdown, Seahawks.
The Seahawks are back at Lumen Field as they welcome in Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Join Steve Rabel and Dave Wyman this Monday night. Pre-game at 4, kickoff at 5:15. Right here on the Seahawks Radio Network.
Gino looks, going to lay it up over the top. Got a man out there. It is Lockett. He has got it. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Let's get you updated on Wall Street next, 20 minutes after 12 now.
Newsradio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. For house hunters, an early Christmas present. Mortgage rates are below 7% for the first time since August. Freddie Mac's weekly average for 30-year fixed-rate loans, 6.95% versus 7.03% last week. Kroger and Albertsons are bracing for a legal fight over their $24.6 billion merger. Opposition to the deal is building, with progressive lawmakers and the Teamsters coming out against it. The FTC has till January 17th to file suit. It's a modestly higher day for stocks after the Dow soared to a record high yesterday. Dow Industrial's up another 120. The S&P is up 9, the Nasdaq gaining 12. The Biden administration is telling federal workers to use climate-friendly options for travel whenever possible to set an example for the rest of us. New guidance includes renting electric vehicles and taking trains and public transit. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
Let's check the traffic and road conditions next. Brought to you this time out by Angelus Furniture and The Blind Store by McRory.
You'll see cozy Christmas savings going on through December at Angelus Furniture. You'll also see us open on Sundays. From 12 to 4 on Sundays through December 17th, you can shop the same awesome deals you do the other 6 days a week. You'll see deals on Lazy Boy chairs, incredible savings on select dining sets, and sales on Stanton sofas. You'll also be able to enter our drawing for a $500 in-store credit. Drawing will be held on Sunday, December 30th. Angelus Furniture, 1114 East 1st Street.
I don't know about you, but when someone says something about the 1980s, I still think that was only 20 years ago, not 4 decades ago. My point is this. If you're one of those people that says, we just updated our blinds a couple years ago, it might actually be longer than you think. Update and save money now with 25% off your order at the Blind Store by McCrory. Plus, get free installation. The most styles from the most popular brands, installed by the most trusted professionals at the Blind Store by McCrory in Sequim.
Newsradio KONP, traffic and roads.
At the Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go. That is where Steve's standing by with a check of the traffic for us this noon hour now. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, looking good out there if you're out and about, both the Port Angeles and Sequim area. Not too awfully busy out there, but pretty steady traffic anyway, making its way through town. Really shouldn't have any problems making your way through. Everything's looking pretty good out there. Same on 101 between Port Angeles and Sequim right now. Just light to moderate traffic, and it is moving along at the speed limit. If you're headed out any further, Hood Canal Bridge, good to go with no scheduled marine openings so far this afternoon. Also, state ferries, back to 2-boat service there on the Bainbridge Island run, although the ferries are running a little bit behind. But they are getting caught up out there, so it should be okay for you when you're headed over to the Seattle area. If you're headed out to the west end right now, 101 looks good all the way out to the Forks area. Some rain showers out there, just light to moderate traffic and at the speed limit. So everybody take care and be safe out there. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Right, thanks, Steve. Yeah, this ferry system, even down by one boat, they also had problems with the ferry fare system, the electronic fare ticket-taking system for a good chunk of the morning, and that was causing some other backups, too, on those ferries. They're just slowly unwinding all that, so do maybe add a little extra to your trip if you're heading somewhere this afternoon involving one of the ferries. 45 right now under cloudy conditions in Port Townsend, cloudy in Forks in 45, 49 in Sequim, 47 now in downtown Port Angeles, and at the airport it is 46 degrees.
ABC Entertainment News.
The Emma Stone movie Poor Things just snagged a bunch of Critics' Choice Award nominations.
She's an experiment.
Good evening.
It's her latest team-up with director Yorgos Lanthimos, a kind of surreal Frankenstein-esque tale. And Stone says she tends to gravitate towards the absurd.
Birdman was sort of that way. La La Land was sort of that way. Like, there's an element of, like, fantastical in the midst of a sort of groundedness that I find really intriguing.
Poor Things opens in wide release this weekend. Out today, it's the end of The Crown.
You, as future king, have a duty.
The final 6 episodes of the 5th and final season of the Emmy-winning drama are streaming now on Netflix. Closing arguments expected today in actor Jonathan Majors' assault trial. The defense rested Wednesday without Majors taking the stand. He's pleaded not guilty to 4 assault and harassment charges.
They can't be too upset.
And chart-topping rapper Offset with a birthday today. He's 32. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Spanking doesn't happen in schools nearly as often as it used to, but according to the Department of Education, the use of corporal punishment is either expressly allowed or not expressly prohibited in 23 states. Now, if you're surprised to hear that, so was I. More than 2 decades ago, the American Academy of Pediatrics first released a policy statement on this issue. It is again calling to ban spanking in schools, saying simply, this isn't acceptable. All children need to feel safe to learn. While a child might become fearful, obedient, and get in line, that's only in the short term, the AAP says. The same goes for home. Parents, they say, should never use spanking, hitting, slapping, threatening, insulting, humiliating, or shaming. What works? Positive reinforcement of appropriate behaviors, setting limits, redirecting, and setting expectations. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart, and this is One Moment in America. Ever wonder who invented the first Christmas lights? I'll tell you that story after this important message. Are you looking for something different to get your children, your grandchildren, or family members for Christmas this year? How about a subscription to our website where they will get so many great stories of our history that are written in audio and video, and the subscription is for the whole family, not just per person. So a family with several children can have all of the opportunity to learn more about our American history together, and we need that. So go to www.jerrystewartusa.com and sign up now for the best Patriot gift that you can give this year. It's up to us to make sure the next generation understands where we have come from and be the next leaders to stand up and keep our nation free. For more information or to get your own Patriot sign-up gift now, go to www.jerrystewartusa.com or call our office at 817-995-6965. God bless you and Merry Christmas. Did you know that originally people trimmed their Christmas trees by placing burning candles on the limbs of the tree? They were beautiful, but dangerous. So next to the tree, just in case, they kept buckets of water. And finally, in 1895, Ralph Morris, a telephone company employee, got an idea. He noticed the string of lights that lit up the telephone switchboard, and he thought, why not? He took that string of lights and placed them on his tree, and Christmas lights were invented. But speaking of Christmas lights, let us not forget that first Christmas light, that star that God placed in the sky that first Christmas, which led the wise men and the shepherds to receive the first Christmas gift, the Christ child. I'm Jerry Stewart, and that was One Moment in America.
For the Washington State News Network, I'm Rob Francis. Ahead of the Washington State legislative session, Senate Republicans say Governor Jay Inslee wants to spend an additional $2 billion. Senator Linda Wilson says the majority of that is going to his pet projects.
This continues to spend more money, and this is basically what's happened over the course of the last 11 years that Inslee's been in office. The budget has more than doubled. That's not a good direction for Washington State.
Inslee proposes using $150 million on energy vouchers for low-income residents who've been hindered financially. Legislators will consider the governor's spending plan and draft their own supplemental budget in the upcoming session. The new year could bring toll increases in the Seattle area. The State Transportation Commission considering a plan to raise the maximum toll on Interstate 405 to $15, up from $10, and on State Route 167 to $9. The minimum rate would also go up $1. Most that gave public comment told the commission they were against the uptick, but some said it was worth the increase if it helped avoid delays. Final vote comes next month, and the new rates would kick in March 1st. Health officials in Spokane County dealing with an outbreak of Shigella among homeless people. There have been 57 confirmed cases in Spokane County at this time. Lack of hygiene and sanitation are the main drivers of the spread. Shigella impacts the gastrointestinal tract and causes diarrhea. For more on these stories and others, download the WSNN mobile app or visit our website, WashingtonStateNews.net.
If you're a contractor, it's now easier for you to do business with the Department of Labor and Industries. Go to lni.wa.gov/skip the line and make an appointment with us ahead of time. No waiting around, no wasted time away from your job site. You get in, get out, and get on your way. Easy. So contractors, just go to lni.wa.gov/skip the line to make an appointment and get back to doing what you do best.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking. Now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Americans picked up their spending from October to November as the unofficial holiday season kicked off.
The Commerce Department says retail sales rose 0.3% in November from October. Economists were expecting a 0.2% drop for November. Excluding car and gas sales, sales were up 0.6%. Online sales rose 1%. Electronic and appliance sales, however, were down 1.1%.
Correspondent Jeremy House. At restaurants, business was up 1.6%. Sales at furniture stores rose 0.9%. Sales at department stores fell 2.5%. The number of Americans filing for jobless benefits fell last week as the labor market continues to thrive amid the high interest rates and still elevated inflation. Applications for unemployment benefits fell by 19,000 to 202,000 for the week ending December 9th. That's according to the Labor Department. Also at townhall.com, Senator Josh Hawley led the charge by Republicans yesterday against a Biden judicial nominee with ties to a campus group that praised Palestinian attacks against Israel.
This is a moral issue.
Hawley felt Abdullah Manji was too vague in separating himself from anti-Semitic remarks by the director of a campus group he was involved with at Rutgers University.
Senator, I am not in a position to make any policy pronouncements about actions in the Middle East.
Does Israel have a right to exist?
Yes.
But when asked whether American Jews should be safe in their homes and on campus,
Senator, there is
just
no
yes or no. Please spare me the lectures. Yes or no.
Bob Agnew reporting.
And on Wall Street, the Dow had 102 points and the Nasdaq now up 9 points. More at townhall.com.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-320-7171. That's 800-320-7171. 800-320-7171.
A UN report says Taliban officials are sending Afghan women to prison to protect them from violence by men.
According to the report, the Taliban is sending women to prison if they have no male relatives to stay with or if the male relatives are considered unsafe. Afghan authorities have also asked male relatives for commitments or sworn statements that they'll not harm a female relative. Before the Taliban seized power in 2021, there were 23 state-sponsored women protection centers in Afghanistan where survivors of gender-based violence could seek refuge. The UN says that now there are none. I'm Donna Warder.
3 people have been arrested in coordinated actions across Denmark and 1 person in the Netherlands. Officials say they were plotting to carry out an act of terror and call the situation extremely serious. Breaking news at townhall.com. A new study finds a higher death rate in those who fear serious illness. Ed Donahue reports.
Illness anxiety disorder, hypochondriasis, is a rare condition. A large study out of Sweden says people with this condition tend to die earlier than those who are not as vigilant about their health. They're unable to shake their fears despite normal physical exams and lab tests. Some may change doctors repeatedly. Others may avoid medical care. Treatment can involve cognitive behavioral therapy, relaxation techniques, education, and sometimes antidepressant medication. The researchers found people with the diagnosis have an increased risk of death from both natural and unnatural causes, including circulatory and respiratory diseases and suicide. Chronic stress is a contributing factor. I'm Ed Donahue.
Another check on Wall Street. Stocks remain higher. The Dow up 109 points. The Nasdaq adding 15. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
This is the Newsradio KONP Noon Report.
Todd Ortloff in the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Thursday, December 14th. Another candidate now running for the State House position currently held by Mike Chapman. Adam Birnbaum of Port Angeles announcing yesterday he will be running for the spot next year. Chapman stepping down from that position to run for the state Senate. Birnbaum becomes the fourth candidate officially announcing intentions to run for the position. He's the third Democrat now in the race. Birnbaum served as Senator Kevin Vanderweeg's legislative assistant before stepping down to run for this office. He says as a legislative assistant, he's worked on a wide variety of issues, including health care, reproductive rights, job creation, and housing. He also directly helped constituents navigate unemployment, find stable housing, and access health care. After graduating from the University of Washington, Birnbaum worked at a nonprofit where he focused on behavioral health and criminal justice policy. Clallam County District Court 1 reducing its public access due to budget issues. Starting yesterday, District Court's public access windows will be open from 9 a.m. to noon, then from 12:30 to 3 p.m. on all court days only. Presiding Judge Dave Newport tells KONP the defunding of his office is causing the undue strain on his staff because it eliminates one full-time position. Now, that position had not yet been filled, so no one is actually losing a job, but he says it is being felt among the rest of the staff.
It has a huge effect on our court operations because we're looking at the loss of one of our 5 front office positions, and that's 20% of our folks. The effect is that we're going to have to somehow be required to go forward with 4 people doing the work of what 5 people are accustomed to doing.
And Newport says the reduced hours will limit public access to the court to request protection orders, to pay infractions and fines, inquire about jury service, file papers, or ask for help.
Most of the cases that folks get involved with in our communities are at the district court, and we want to be able to be available for folks when they come to our window. A lot of folks come to the district court window because they want to get a protection order, and that can take a lot of undertaking for somebody to even get the strength up to come in and ask for something like that, and to not be available at our window to have that access. It's really, really disappointing and something we shouldn't see happening.
We reached out to County Administrator Todd Mielke to find out why the position at the district court was cut when the decisions were being made about where to make up for a budget shortfall. He told us the county was forced to cut back the equivalent of 7 vacant full-time positions.
Really, the way that we approached this was we looked at currently vacant positions because, like I say, that was far preferable than laying anyone off that currently is employed by the county. But the other thing that we looked at for each of those departments, we looked at the trend information that they had submitted to us. District Court's own numbers, since 2019, their total caseload count has gone down 32% through the end of 2022. So that was one of the things that went into consideration.
In other news, Governor Jay Inslee proposed a budget yesterday that could raise pay for paraeducators by $3 an hour, put more state troopers on Washington roads, and provide a $200 credit to low and moderate income Washington families to compensate for high energy costs. Inslee seeking about $2.5 billion more in overall state spending than what lawmakers allocated in April for the 2-year period ending in mid-2025. He said Wednesday he wants much of that new spending to go towards behavioral health care, housing, education, and fighting the fentanyl crisis. Altogether, Inslee's proposing a $70.9 billion operating budget, not including about $330 million in climate dollars raised from the state's new carbon auctions. Washington also has capital construction and transportation budgets, which along with the operating budget make up the state's total spending. Meantime, the Republican state Senate budget lead says it won't improve the lives of most working Washingtonians, that supplemental budget that it was proposed by the governor yesterday.
The governor wants to spend an additional $2 billion, with the majority of that going to his pet projects. Senator Linda Wilson says this is par for the course for Inslee.
This continues to spend more money, and this is basically what's happened over the course of the last 11 years. that Inslee's been in office. The budget has more than doubled. That's not a good direction for Washington State.
Inslee proposes using $150 million on energy vouchers for low-income residents who have been hurt by Democrat policies such as cap and trade, which sent gas prices skyrocketing. Wilson says that's nice, but it provides only one-time relief for just a small segment of the population.
There's a whole lot of middle class, the entire working class, that are barely making it from paycheck to paycheck. And so, the high gas prices and the high grocery prices and all that are hitting everyone.
Legislators will consider the governor's spending plan and draft their own supplemental budget in the upcoming session. I'm Tracy Ellis.
KONP News time is now 12:42.
Olympic Garage Door, serving the community since 2008. We have a new showroom between Squim and Port Angeles, and it's open to you Monday through Friday. We're dedicated to providing the highest quality customer service. For our residential and commercial customers, mention this ad and get $20 off your next garage door service. Not valid with any other offer. Come see our brand new showroom, Olympic Garage Door, located at 259-403 Highway 101 in Squim.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. This holiday, treat yourself to the best present of all, a hot tub from Olympic. Now until Christmas Eve, save on your new tub and get an amazing gift, a free Smart Top. This awesome hardcover handles Northwest weather, locks in heat, and looks fantastic. Save up to $3,700 during our Santa Loves a Smart Top event. More at OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
Give yourself a gift you'll enjoy every day, a new bath or shower from Bathfitter. And this is the final month to pay 0 interest and make 0 payments until 2025. Hi, it's Ursula Royteen. In as little as 1 day, have a new tub, safe walk-in shower, or tub-to-shower conversion. After nearly 40 years and 40,000 local remodels, locally owned Bathfitter Northwest is the tub and shower expert. A gift of a gorgeous bathroom? Bathfitter. Visit bathfitternw.com.
This is Alan Barnard, and this Volunteer Spotlight, which usually shines on a particular volunteer individual or group, is our opportunity to shine our spotlight on all of you individuals and groups who generously give of yourselves for the benefit of others. The volunteer spirit is alive and well in our area and makes such a huge difference in our quality of life. We are all better for your willingness to reach out and help others in so many ways. So for this holiday season, our hat is off to all of you volunteers who help others, and we salute you and wish you all a wonderful holiday season and health and prosperity in the coming year. We also encourage you to consider becoming a volunteer this coming year for any volunteer group that may interest you. New volunteers are always needed. It's said that service is the rent we pay for our space on Earth, and that's why we present this Volunteer Spotlight. Brought to you by Brown's Outdoor, serving your family for over 100 years.
The holidays are barreling towards us. What to do with our families, our friends, our coworkers? Dodge the rush by reserving time at Laurel Lanes. Laurel Lanes is the perfect place to host an office party, a family get-together, even a birthday party. And it leaves your house unscathed by the masses of people. Laurel Lanes can even cater the event. Call Uncle Vern today and find out about having the most fun you can have indoors. Laurel Lanes in Port Angeles, where bowling is fun.
Weather forecast: cloudy, rain at times the rest of the day today. Highs low 50s, perhaps by later this afternoon. More clouds and some rain again late tonight. Lows will be in the mid-30s to low 40s. More clouds into Friday with a chance of rain in the morning and a high near 50 Friday. Cloudy Friday night, lows will be in the mid-30s to low 40s, and more clouds with a chance of rain in the morning on Saturday, and highs will be about 50. Saturday night, clouds continue, lows will be in the upper 30s. Sunday's going to be the best day of the next week or so, with partly sunny skies on Sunday and low to mid-50s for your highs, but then clouding up and rain again by Sunday night. Lows will be about 40, cloudy and rainy on Monday, and high near 50. Rain likely Monday night, lows in the low 40s. The rain continues Tuesday. Highs will be in the lower 50s. And partly sunny with some scattered rain showers at times on Wednesday next week with highs near 50. Currently clouds and some rain off again, on again across the peninsula. It's 45 in Port Townsend, also 45 out west at Forks. Squim's got 49, downtown PA 47, and out at the airport in Port Angeles 46 degrees.
The following is a paid advertisement.
This is Church Watch, brought to you by PeninsulaRevival.org. Well, we just have all these prophetic quasi-Christian beliefs and organizations popping up everywhere these days, all claiming Bible precedents, big names, prophetic happenings, and of course the all-important pious cloak. Weird Beliefs 101, spreading like a cancer throughout the church. Here's a sampling: Reconstructionism, Dominionism, Theonomy, Dominion Theology, and the dozer pushing most of this, the NAR, the New Apostolic Reformation, promoted by C. Peter Wagner around the year 2000. It puts a whole new spin on biblical prophecy, spinning out of control, that is, saying it's all been fulfilled. That's right. Most of those age-old prophecies many believe are still future have already happened, or so they say, back in 70 AD, and things are not going to get more horrific as I always thought. Shh, please don't read the headlines. They're going to get better and better, thank you very much, as the Christian church takes over the governments of the world and culture and presents the whole as one glorious utopia on earth at Christ's second return. And this is dominionism, kind of a prophetic version of, if you can't say anything good, then don't say anything at all, or something like that. Just put all those naughty little indicting biblical prophecies in the has-been and repeat after me with Bibles held high. All you need is love, and voila, all of a sudden the world becomes a much better place to live in. And why not? These guys have got it all figured out, and God certainly isn't going to pop their bubble. Just write off all those Bible prophecies talking about judgment, and let's go way out on a limb while we're at it and pretend rain falls up. Man really did come from a monkey, and the earth is flat and sits on a big fat turtle. Hey, was that the Easter Bunny? For Church Watch, this is Gordon Haddad.
The preceding was a paid advertisement.
Create holiday memories to cherish at Field Arts and Events Hall. Join us for the heartwarming performance of Linus and Juicy as the Jose Gonzalez Trio performs Vince Guaraldi's A Charlie Brown Christmas. Celebrate incredible local talent at the Squim City Band's Holiday Concert. Plus, be transported to a timeless world with Jeffrey Castle's Celtic Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Washington!
Find the perfect show for you and your loved ones today at www.fieldhallevents.org or by calling 360-477-4679.
Did you know that hot water accounts for 15 to 20% of your electric energy use? Hi, this is Clallam PUD. Let's talk about heat pump water heaters, or hybrid water heaters. A heat pump water heater uses fans and an evaporator to efficiently extract warmth from the surrounding air, saving you up to 60% on your electric water heating costs. The PUD currently has an instant rebate of up to $900 when using a participating installer, or $600 if you're installing it on your own. Plus, the federal government is offering a $2,000 tax credit. Visit clallampud.net for more information.
We all have that one item in our closet that we love, but have zero idea of what to wear with it. This is where Bee Blossom Boutique in downtown Squim comes into play. The stylists at Bee Blossom Boutique encourage you to bring in your favorite boots, jeans, top, hat, whatever, and they'll help you build a style around it. And since they have fashion for all body types, you'll get dressed to the nines at Fives pricing. Shop Bee Blossom Boutique, 161 West Washington in Squim.
Newsradio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Minutes to go ahead of the closing bell on Wall Street, and stocks are on track for more gains today. Right now, the Dow is up 0.33% en route to another all-time closing high. The Nasdaq and the S&P up just a small fraction. That's after the holiday shopping season kicked off with a bang, as retail sales in November unexpectedly rose thanks to a burst in online shopping and sales at bars and restaurants. Also helping, first-time jobless claims last week down by 19,000, and average long-term mortgage rates this week below 7% for the first time since August. Among the big winners today, shares of Moderna up 10%. That's after positive test results and trials for a personalized skin cancer vaccine it's developing along with Merck and its cancer drug Keytruda. and a federal judge signaling that Elon Musk has to testify in a probe by the SEC, Wall Street watchdogs, into his $44 billion buyout of Twitter. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Let's get a last check of the noontime traffic. It's brought to you by Leeds Farm Supply and by Olympic Medical Center.
LS Tractor. Do more for less. More standard features, more capacity, and more operator comfort. LS Tractor gives you more. A comprehensive warranty and more PTO horsepower. Do more on your farm, ranch, or acreage. Mow it, grade it, till it, or move it. Stop by your local participating dealer and join the growing LS Tractor family today.
Find the perfect LS tractor for you at Leets Farm Supply in Squim. Locally owned and operated. Call Leets at 360-452-1400.
LS Tractor. Simply more.
At Olympic Medical Center, we want you to enjoy a happy, healthy holiday season. Explore our website for handy holiday tips, including how to navigate stress during the holidays. Plus, you'll find helpful information on eating healthy this time of year. Discover these tips and more at olympicmedical.org/healthy holidays. From everyone at OMC, we wish you a very happy and healthy holiday season.
Newsradio KONP, traffic and roads.
All right, one last time this hour up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go. That's where Steve's standing by with an eye on the roads for us. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, we're doing pretty good out there. It's busy, but traffic is moving along pretty smoothly through the Port Angeles Squim area right now. So far, no problems out there. If you're on the highway between Port Angeles and Squim, it is definitely busy out there, but moving along at the speed limit. Beyond Squim, Hood Canal Bridge, good to go with no scheduled marine openings this afternoon. State ferries are doing pretty well. The back-to-two-boat service out there on Bainbridge Island, so that is helping things out, but they are running a little bit behind out there, so expect some wait time there at the ferry docks. If you're headed out to the west end, 101's in good shape all the way out to the Forks area. Light to moderate traffic, a few rain showers. Other than that, should be a good drive for you. So everybody take care, be safe out there. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Hey, thanks, Steve. A major storm could slow early holiday travel just as airlines brace for a record number of people hitting the skies. U.S. Airlines expecting to sell 39 million seats domestically and internationally from next Wednesday into the new year. They're also hoping not to repeat last year's debacle that happened this time of year. ABC's transportation correspondent Gio Benitez is at LaGuardia Airport in New York with more.
You'll remember that Southwest meltdown last December when almost 17,000 flights were canceled. People were stranded all over the place. Southwest said the weather caused it, but it was the only airline hit hard because planes and crews, they were just in the wrong place.
Well, here's one for you in the holiday season. The Chipmunk song is a staple of this time of year. It's responsible for launching the Alvin and the Chipmunks franchise. The 4 live-action Chipmunk movies, just those alone, have grossed $1.4 billion worldwide. And all of that can actually be traced back to a novelty record, the Christmas song from the Chipmunk song that has accumulated now 112.5 million streams. Billboard estimates that it brings in $300,000 per year in revenue for the master recording and publishing as well. And what are some signs that you've made it? If you said having a bunch of money in the bank, you're basically right. According to a survey, the number one sign someone's, quote, made it is retiring early. Obvious. Numbers 2 through 5 are also obvious. Not having to work, owning a vacation home, owning a second home, and owning a private plane. Round out the top 5. Let's check your Consumer Tech Minute next from Kim Commando.
This Christmas, it's easier than ever to buy gifts that you can't quite afford, even with a few blemishes on your credit rating. And with no Visa, MasterCard, Discover, or any other major credit card. Sounds too good to be true? It is. I'm Kim Commando, brought to you by T-Mobile. Their advanced network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today. It's called BNPL. Buy now, pay later. With Apple's Pay Later, you can get that brand new $1,000 iPhone today and pay it off in 4 payments. PayPal has BNPL too. Other services like Afterpay, Affirm, and Klarna are even more options at almost every online store. But BNPL apps are not regulated like credit cards.
Check the fine print for sky-high interest rates. Some reach a whopping 36%, late fees up to 25%. And regardless of what you may hear, BNPL can affect your credit. Remember, if you can't afford it now, you can't afford it later. Just weeks left in my iPhone giveaway. Enter now at komando.com/win. You have a lot of places to get your tech news. I know that. But there's only one website that tells you what the tech news means to you. And that's my site, komando.com. Every day, you'll find breaking tech news, security alerts, along with really useful tips and product reviews. Tens of millions of people just like you visit my site, and I'd love for you to become a regular. I bet you learn one great thing each day at komando.com. And at my site, you also get early access to my USA Today columns, too. And to make things easier on your busy life, sign up for my free newsletters that get delivered right to your inbox. You can pick and choose what you're interested in, whether that's smartphones or smart homes, Windows or Mac. And this way, you only get the know-how that you want. And I'll never, ever send you spam because I value you and your inbox. At komando.com, there are links at the top of the page to get my free newsletters. And also, send me a personal message. Go now while you're thinking about it. That's komando.com, KOMANDO.com.
For what it's worth, I'm Derek Dennis. Kate Micucci's been on TV's Raising Hope and The Big Bang Theory.
Asking me personal questions like, what do you do? Where are you from? Why did you lock yourself in the bathroom?
She's also known for viral hits.
Me and you and me, just us and your friend Steve.
As one half of the comedy duo Garfunkel and Oates. But now, Micucci is revealing a recent diagnosis.
This is not a TikTok, it's a sick talk. I'm in the hospital. But it's because I had lung cancer surgery.
43-year-old Micucci says she's never smoked cigarettes. Dr. Pasi Yane with the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute says scientists are trying to find genetic predispositions for lung cancer among young never smokers like her.
There's still a lot of work to be done in this space.
Micucci thankful for early detection, saying it saved her life.
They caught it early. They got it out. I'm all good.
For what it's worth, I'm Derek Dennis, ABC News.
Thousands of stores across the country are pulling brand-name cold and allergy products off the shelves. Why? Because an FDA advisory panel recently determined that a drug they contain, oral phenylephrine, is ineffective as a nasal decongestant. Navage offers a drug-free solution that's fast and highly effective at relieving nasal congestion caused by colds and allergies. Navage uses suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril to help suck out allergens, mucus, and germs. Nasal irrigation works, and Navage makes it quick and easy, but more than anything, it helps you breathe better. Don't waste your time or money on products that are ineffective. Trust drug-free Navage for fast relief to help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
This is Alan Barnard, and this Volunteer Spotlight, which usually shines on a particular volunteer individual or group, is our opportunity to shine our spotlight on all of you individuals and groups who generously give of yourselves for the benefit of others. The volunteer spirit is alive and well in our area and makes such a huge difference in our quality of life. We are all better for your willingness to reach out and help others in so many ways. So for this holiday season, our hat is off to all of you volunteers who help others, and we salute you and wish you all a wonderful holiday season and health and prosperity in the coming year. We also encourage you to consider becoming a volunteer this coming year for any volunteer group that may interest you. New volunteers are always needed. It's said that service is the rent we pay for our space on Earth, and that's why we present this Volunteer Spotlight, sponsored by Jim Hagwood of PA Realty, serving all of Clallam County.
The North Peninsula's news. The North Peninsula's talk. Newsradio KONP, Port Angeles Squim, a Radio Pacific station.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. After weeks of stalled talks, the Ukraine supplemental funding bill is gaining traction. Senate lawmakers now asked to return next week as negotiators work to finalize a Goldilocks compromise.
Pointing to what he calls significant progress in the immigration policy talks, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he'll keep the Senate in session.
next week.
We have to get this done.
Schumer says the hope is negotiators will land a deal this weekend on a package of border reforms that Republicans and Democrats in both houses can accept. It's a tall task. Conservatives have worried the administration won't go far enough to tighten asylum rules, and progressives worry the president might be willing to tighten them too much. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
President Biden at the National Institutes of Health today delivering remarks on new ways to lower prescription drugs for Americans. He also addressed reporter questions about Israel's military operations in Gaza as it battles Hamas.
I want them to be focused on how to save civilian lives. Not stop going after Hamas, but be more careful.
There was also a push by the U.S. and Israelis to free more hostages. ABC's Inez de la Quatara is in Tel Aviv.
I'm here at Hostage Square, where some of the families of the hostages just met with the Israeli president for the lighting of the final candle for Hanukkah. A lot of these families are concerned for the well-being of the hostages that remain in Gaza. 135 hostages remain in Gaza, and of course lots of concerns as to what the relentless shelling of the Gaza Strip could mean for them.
Jurors are deliberating damages in the defamation lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani filed by two Georgia election workers. Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss say they were harassed following Giuliani's false claims that the Georgia election workers took part in voter fraud. And jury deliberations have also started in the Jonathan Majors domestic violence trial, the actor facing misdemeanor assault and harassment charges. You're listening to ABC News.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
An experimental vaccine showing promise against melanoma.
Moderna says its mRNA vaccine, combined with an already approved cancer drug Keytruda, cuts the risk of skin cancer reoccurrence or death nearly in half in their latest trials. Moderna is saying this is the first study showing an mRNA vaccine could be effective in this cancer treatment. The drug combination does have significant and possibly life-threatening risks, and it could take years before many patients can receive it.
ABC's Andy Field. An unusual morning commute for some people in the Garden State.
New Jersey commuters who thought they've seen it all were introduced to a new reason for their train being late Thursday morning. This passenger.
The conductor's like, there's a bull on the track. And I said, what? And it's like, I thought he was joking around.
But he looked out the window.
There it was. It was just kind of trotting down the track there.
It had nothing to do with a nearby soccer team.
I thought maybe it was a Red Bull's PR stunt or something like that, considering the stadium was right there.
After a time, the bull tranquilized and captured by authorities. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Author James Patterson is sharing his wealth. Patterson is giving $500 holiday bonuses to 600 independent bookstore workers who are part of the American Booksellers Association. Those bonuses are part of the holiday initiative he started nearly a decade ago. Patterson says booksellers save lives, adding what they do is crucial, especially right now. I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Build the custom home of your dreams with Adair Homes. Take advantage of their limited-time offer of 4.875 interest rate with a 5.31 APR when you finance with Adair Financial Services. Visit ADAIRhomes.com to find out more. For well-qualified buyers, other restrictions apply. Visit AdairHomes.com for additional disclosures. Equal Housing Opportunity, Adair Financial Services, NMLS number 4586.
If you're feline generous this holiday season, Airport Garden Center has a deal for you. Right now, when you donate a bag of Diamond Natural indoor cat food in either a 6 or 18-pound bag, the cool cats of Airport Garden Center will match your donation for the Peninsula Friends of Animals. I'm not kidding when I say the need is huge for these precious babies. Let's help Santa Paws make it a perfect Christmas at Airport Garden Center, west of Port Angeles on Edgewood Drive.
Hi, I'm John Holm, president of Tri-State Roofing, serving the Puget Sound since 2007. Tri-State Roofing is committed to making every step of the process stress-free. You'll have a dedicated production manager helping you with every aspect, start to finish. Right now, we're offering 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 6 months. Call Tri-State today, and we'll be out tomorrow.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
KONP News brought to you by Remax Evergreen Real Estate Outstanding Agents. Outstanding results, 457-6600. Another candidate now running for the State House position, currently held by Democrat Mike Chapman. Adam Birnbaum of Port Angeles announcing he'll run for the spot next year. He becomes the 4th candidate announcing intentions to run for the position and the 3rd Democrat to enter that race. Birnbaum has served as Senator Kevin Vandeweg's legislative assistant before he stepped down to run for this office.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast. Highs around 48 this afternoon. Under overcast skies, winds out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tonight. Chance for isolated rain showers. Lows dip down to about 40. Slight chance for isolated rain showers tomorrow. Highs level off around 50. Cloudy skies expected. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, 46.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
All right, welcome once again to the show. Going to spend the first half of the program today talking a little county budget. About a month and a half or so ago, we were talking about the beginning of trying to get to the end of the line or end of the road for the budget, and we're kind of almost to that point. So it's fitting that we talk about where the county's spending plan is shaping up as we wrap up the year. We welcome to the studio Commissioner Randy Johnson, and the CFO for the county, Mark Lane, joins us again. Thanks both of you for coming in. Good to see you both. Thanks.
Our pleasure.
Let's Mark. I guess we'll start with you. You know, we last time we chatted, you were kind of in that position of we're still talking about where we're going to try to save here and there and close a deficit, if you will. So where are you now that we've gotten to this point?
Well, so we just approved the county's budget last a week ago Tuesday, so on December 5th. Certainly was one of the more challenging budget cycles that we've had since I've been with the county. I've been with the county just about 5 years now, and we've just had a lot of dynamics that have some headwinds that we are facing as a county, and some of them are tied to the immediate future in terms of some economic uncertainty heading into next year, but then others are just have been taking shape over several years. I'll probably focus primarily on helping the public kind of understand our what are some of those headwinds that we're facing as a county before I kind of get into the dollars and cents and hopefully not bore anyone with that. When you look at our expenditures as a county, obviously biggest cost is people. We employ a little over 400 employees across all funds of the county. Our largest fund, the general fund, supports about 345 FTEs. And so you can imagine, with 71% of your costs involving people, we're all cognizant of what's happening in the labor market. It's more difficult to hire and source employees. We obviously have to make sure that we're paying competitive wages, and obviously there's cost of living adjustments and other increases that we've been paying as part of our collective bargaining units. And so that certainly is an ongoing cost area for us that we have to just be mindful of because it is such a large number. There's some other areas, though, that we have been just really, I would say, taking it on the chin as a county. And many of these are really outside of our control. First and foremost is the cost to insure our county. Unlike private industry, which goes out and basically insures directly with carriers, we go through the county along with many other counties secure their insurance through the Washington Risk Pool. And that's basically a co-op, if you will, to provide self-insurance to counties. And one of the dynamics that we're dealing with on that front are because of ongoing costs of claims, particularly as it relates to the risk profile of insuring in this state, where we lack tort reform, we lack a number of other safeguards that are more conducive to attracting insurance carriers to do business in the state of Washington. We've made it very difficult for our state to be an attractive place for carriers to do business in, and so as a result, we're limited to just a handful, 2 or 3 carriers that will actually do business in our state. And as a result of that, we have seen our insurance costs increase well over 20% per year the last 2 or 3 years, and we're expecting that to continue into next year. And so just to kind of give your listeners a perspective of what that means for the county, just our insurance costs next year are increasing $327,000.
That's just the increase.
Yes, that's just the increase after multiple years of 20% plus increases. And that's roughly equivalent to how much our property tax revenues can go up by statutorily, because as you recall, we're limited to 1%, and so ignoring anything else in our cost structure, just our insurance costs are basically absorbing almost every dollar that we're able to raise our property taxes by, without obviously going to the voters, to ask for any kind of levy adjustment, anything like that.
That's phenomenal. No, I don't think folks really understand that at all. And that you're not the only county, obviously, that's probably facing this. This is happening in any one of those counties in that risk pool, because you're all sharing that cost.
That's right. And there's a lot of concern, I think, when you talk to other members of the risk pool. There's a day coming very soon, I think, that you are going to see other rural counties who are not as well off as we are. We have a very... I think I'm proud to report we still have a very robust reserve level for a county our size. It's a good reserve level. We're trying to keep it that way in order for us to do some things that we're going to need to do down the road. There's speculation out there that we are only 1 or 2 years away from some counties basically having to forego participating in the pool and roll the dice and essentially try to ensure
they have a good year.
That's right. Yeah. And some of these counties are so under-reserved and that it would only take one very large claim could put a small county into bankruptcy. And literally, I think we're a couple of years away from that potentially happening in this state.
Very interesting. Randy Johnson is over here kind of shaking his head about this as well. And I think Mark mentioned it. I mean, a lot of this is state level policy issue things. We don't have tort reform, for example, in this state, and it always seems to come back to this in a lot of ways.
I mean, everything Mark said is correct, but go back to the funding model for counties, which is different than cities. And where do we get our funds? Property taxes, they're limited at 1%. Mm-hmm. By the way, roads also limited at 1% when you start thinking about those. Sales tax, certainly that goes up and down with inflation, so that's maybe the other part of the stool. And the third part of it, of course, fees and charges that we have. So you put those together, and the funding model for every county, I think, in the state, particularly those of us in rural areas, is not wonderful for the long term without, of course, going back to the voters for adding additional taxes, whatever they may be. So, and therein is part of the issue. The whole funding, I was sitting with, we always, as county commissioners, try to go visit with all of our different departments throughout the years, all the county commissioners, one by one. And a couple employees who I think was the assessor's office said, I'm looking how you fund yourself. It doesn't seem to be rational. How are you going to keep doing this? Good question. How about that, right? So, and that's an issue with almost all counties, particularly rural counties.
So what is the question? And we'll get into a little bit more of the specifics. But I mean, since this is a larger, broader thing, what has to happen then?
Well, obviously, you have to think about how we do fund ourselves. And again, if it requires the citizens to step up, you have that issue, and or you start cutting out certain things. Do you not need sheriffs in the middle of the night? That might be a possibility. Or do we not, chip seal 43 miles of roads every year? We've got 490 miles to maintain, but you can let those kind of go further. Well, not really. We are all going to pay for those kinds of options. So that's a big question, certainly for everyone.
None of those politically savorable. I don't think most people would want to go to voters. I can tell you, I don't think county commissioners enjoy a discussion where they say, hey, let's just go ask for more taxes.
Well,
nobody likes to hear that.
Well, and in fairness, as you well know, I had the discussion about more taxes, about something I care about, conservation futures, and that was a separate tax, and I'm proud to say we had metrics beside it, and you wanted to say farmland, and are we really doing it? Are we getting for every dollar we put in an additional $3, $4, $5? We are, and we're meeting all those goals. But if I go to the taxpayers, I want to have metrics to say, hey, with this we're going to do X, Y, Z, and that's the only way I feel comfortable going there. And it's still not a pleasant, no one wants to pay more taxes. But when you ask them, gee, do you really think 1% is going to cover the change in our road costs this coming year, or the cost for, as Mark talked about, the employees who we're trying to compete with everyone else, so we have to be competitive? And do you think their salaries only went up by 1% a year? That's all our revenue went up by that for a major component of it. So,
Mark, that said, some of those solutions, though, they solve little bits of money here and there. But when you start talking about millions and millions, then there's some structural issues that have to happen down the road in the bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Absent doing something from a levy lift standpoint, from property tax standpoint, you're absolutely right. The other thing that the county, I think, potentially is going to need to do, and again, this kind of gets back to why do we need to maintain healthy reserves at our county, is I think at some point we are going to need to issue debt at the county, meaning tapping the bond market. We have a lot of aging infrastructure at our county, and really what I have come to appreciate in my 5 years here is, we have a lot of aging infrastructure throughout the county. And I'm not just talking about the courthouse. I'm talking about our infrastructure that, spans from the west side to the east side, in our road shops, our detachments for our sheriff's department, our jail, obviously. And the reality is right now we are having to tap partially into general fund, to support a good chunk of this aging infrastructure costs. And so it may come to a time, and again, we're hopeful now that the Fed is starting to signal that, we are potentially going to start seeing some interest rate relief next year, that bond rates will be attractive enough to where a year or two from now, we can consider that as a potential option to not only address some of our aging infrastructure issues, but also help relieve the general fund from really having to bear an increasing amount of burden of, I'll just give you an example. We have a generator at our county that is, as old as the new part of the courthouse. It's about a 40-plus-year-old generator, and the price tag for replacing that, just a generator for to power the courthouse in the event of a power outage, $1.5 million at least. And so, you can imagine, when you look at our various REIT funds, which real estate excise tax funds that we have utilized heavily to support our capital, that single asset replacement is equal to about what we bring in 1 year in our REIT revenue. Wow. For one of those funds. So these are significant dollars that we're looking at. And so, we may need to potentially look at, as much as this county, I think, has done a fantastic job.
It's hung its hat on the fact it has not had debt. In fact, out of all of the counties, it's been one of the only ones that's done it.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And it's certainly something that, none of us are going to be, doing something that is going to put the county at, risk in terms of levering it to the hilt. But, there is a place for using some level of debt to help fund some of these long-term needs, such as our jail. When you look at our jail and what it was designed to do back 40 years ago, well, the dynamic of operating the jail is very different today than it was back then. The inmate population, and again, this is driving our costs in other areas, including jail medical. We have an increasing amount of our jail inmate population that is suffering from significant mental health issues or behavioral health issues. And so they cannot be co-housed with somebody else. And so when you have a jail that is basically designed to,
house people together, basically.
Exactly. Right. And you're having to, bifurcate and change your approach to one person, one cell. That really represents some major challenges for how our jail is currently structured. And it's not cost effective really to go in and take a hardened facility that is a jail and kind of reconfigure it to meet the new realities. It's oftentimes more cost effective just to build for what you're right. eventually going to need. And so that's just one example. I know we were talking about insurance earlier, but just some other costs that have just really made some major challenges for us. Workers' compensation rates continue to increase due to higher claims and L&I rates that are assessed to us. Our jail medical costs. This is a number in my time I have seen just skyrocket, and again is reflective of a sicker inmate population that requires serious medical and chemical dependency assistance. Those costs have increased 12.3% per year since just 2020. So just in 3 years.
And people need to realize when you say that per year, it's almost an exponential number, because if you say 3 years and it's 12% each year, it's on top of each other.
That's right. If you want to look over a 4-year average, you're absolutely right. You're talking more like 48% increase. Yeah. Yes. Inflationary costs are something that our county is not immune to.
And this past year, I was going to ask about that. Was it acutely evident in this past couple of years?
Absolutely. Well, it's been difficult
because inflation's been up.
Inflation's been up, and we were able to weather it somewhat during COVID, because some of the things that we were ordering, vehicle replacements, the supply chain was essentially halted for quite some time. And so we really were, like a lot of others, waiting for vehicles to actually come to us. And there was significant wait. Sometimes it could take anywhere from 9 months to 15 months to source a piece of equipment. While we've seen those subside, costs have not. And, I'll just give you an example. A patrol vehicle, you see our SUV patrol vehicles for our deputies. Prior to, I would say really pre-COVID, and even as early as last year, a vehicle like that would cost us about $43,000 to source from Ford. That cost has skyrocketed to well over $63,000. Wow.
It's nearly doubled in price.
Absolutely,
almost.
Absolutely. And so that's just one example. Rising fuel costs, everything, and what does that translate into? Is higher costs for our general fund. Our equipment repair and replacement fund, our ER&R fund, which is an arm of our public works group, manages our fleet vehicles for us. But they basically, have to pass those kinds of cost increases on to the general fund. And so for this year, just to kind of give you an idea for the 2024 budget, we saw our vehicle rental costs from our ER&R fund increase by $272,000 in 1 year. Well, again, when you're looking at revenues that, again, we talked about property taxes.
I'm going to go back to that number you before. That's almost that 1% again we're talking about, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Exactly. And so you take that really across a number of our cost structures. That's really what has caused our budget to be particularly challenging next year. We have to, be cognizant of, some of the economic challenges that I think are, the Washington State Economic Forecast Councils, which is a group of economists, a state economists that, basically provide us help us keep the pulse on where they see the national economy as well as the state economy going. They are only projecting 1.6% growth in retail sales tax revenue, which, that represents about 23% of our revenue stream for our general fund. So about a quarter of our general fund is tied to a revenue stream that all else being equal, Todd, just based on economic output that they're expecting statewide, is only going to grow 1.6%. Well, we know we're not in a world where our costs are only growing 1.6%.
I mean, that's almost like you're losing money in
That's
a
right.
sense. That's not even growing enough to keep up with what inflation would be.
That's exactly right. Now, one thing that is citing to our benefit, I think I've shared enough bad news, but one of the things that is helping us a bit on the sales tax revenue side are the number of road projects that we have going on in our county. You see it along 101 with all the fish barrier projects that WashDOT is doing. The Elwha River Bridge, that's a $36 million project. All of those projects in the unincorporated part of the county are generating basically sales and use tax revenue for the county. And those projects, historically, the last few years, and I think we talked about this last time we met, we're kicking off anywhere from $250,000 to $300,000 of sales tax revenue to the general fund. Well, next year, and in 2025, based upon the sheer volume and cost of these projects, we're expecting that those revenues to actually be more like be anywhere from $625,000 up to $750,000 of sales tax revenue.
Nice.
So that's one of the things is your readers are maybe going out and looking at our budget, and they look at our write-up and say, well, you're saying your sales tax revenue is going to grow up 4.5% next year. Well, that's largely because of these road
and that's
projects.
a one-time windfall, if you will.
That's right.
I mean, you're not going to get that the next year.
Right. And is that going to fall off the cliff immediately? No, I think there's certainly a lot of other road projects that are on the horizon that we believe are going to come to this county. But it's certainly not something that we can count on indefinitely. We know, I think there's the 2030 deadline that exists for, addressing these fish barrier issues. That's 6 years away. And so we're going to see a push to try and get all that work done. But at some point, we are going to need to see other economic activity in this county, kind of step in and start, helping.
And that was my next question. I mean, it sounds to me in some ways it's easier said than done. That a lot of this you gotta start getting some overall economic growth here. Generally, in order to help out what's going on even at the county's level.
It's either that or the state is going to need to provide more support. And that's one area, I know this will resonate with Commissioner Johnson because it's a hot button for both of us, is our indigent
I was
defense.
just going there.
Yes.
And there actually is, and I wanted to get a comment from both of you. There's a little bit of talk right now that in this upcoming legislative session, this might be open up to a little more discussion. May not be to a level you all would like to see it paid, but maybe it's moving closer. But before we get to that, Mark, tell us kind of the ratio, if you will, of what it costs the county to provide this requirement. It's not that it has to be done.
Yes. So public defense costs this county. When I say public defense, this is a situation where we are required by law, if a defendant cannot afford an attorney, we are required to provide one to mount an adequate defense. So under that statute and under that requirement, what that translates to the general fund for the county is approximate annual cost of about $2.1 million. And that cost has been increasing about 7% per year over the last 3 to 4 years. And so $2.1 million. So, and I haven't gone and calculated this percentage because I don't think you need to when you hear the amount that the state actually provides us, has been averaging anywhere from $70,000 to $74,000 per year, and it's
at a 2.1.
That's right. Out of 2.1. So your state is only contributing basically less than 3/4 of an FTE salary cost towards providing public defense. And in our county, in our rural county, many people in this county who go through our criminal justice system, unfortunately, do qualify for public defense, and so it's a real cost, and it's certainly something that every time we apply for that grant, we receive our award letter in December. It's something, but at the same time, when you get it and you say congratulations, you've been awarded $69,000 for next year, it leaves a sour taste in my mouth simply because I just don't believe the state is doing what it could to to help us support that increasing cost, and couple that with what's happening in the labor market in terms of trying to get qualified attorneys to serve in public practice, both on the prosecuting side as well as public defense. Those costs are just continuing to skyrocket, and so the state is going to need to do something to address this structurally for counties.
Well, that teased this up to one of Randy's favorite topics, and we've talked about this in the past, is the fact that, this is an unfunded mandate, more or less. The state has found a way to, have the counties pay for what it's responsible for paying, because you're operating a court, because if anybody looks at a criminal proceeding, it's the state of Washington versus XYZ.
And
it just happens to be happening in Clallam County.
And we're at the bottom of the trough, right? And it's an issue. If you think about, we talk about all the counties and them funding or having funding issues wherever they are. This particular issue is true for every county. But I also have to say, ever since I became a commissioner, I've been having heard this be an issue with all counties. And what are we going to do? And the question is, should the county sue?
Yeah. Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Is it going to happen, do you think?
But but you'd prefer, you don't want to go turn around and sue the same entity that also helps fund a whole lot of other things,
because that grant letter that Mark was talking about might go away then at that point.
You're biting the hand that feeds you a little bit, right?
Yeah, so that becomes an issue. But it's an issue, again, for all counties across the board, and it's a big issue. And labor costs aren't going down. I mean, we talked about our jail was just a little bit over 60% staffed here recently, and that's not enough. And you look at the overtime and burnout of people, and same with a whole lot of other people. Finding good attorneys is short. And we're at the end of the pipeline. I think I've said that before. So how do we attract them? And if you're not paying competitive salaries, you're not going to attract
people.
So,
right. And so there you have. So it really, it's the ultimate conundrum in many ways. You can't get enough people to work these things. You still have to provide it. And so what do you do? Before we run out of time, Randy, how are you feeling about, as a county commissioner, this budget and this process and where it kind of landed here and what was approved just a week ago?
Yeah, well, of course it was difficult, going back to looking at everything when they began. Obviously, this is a multi-month project, and going through every department with the CFO, then going in front of the commissioners, looking at all the other things, still having a major gap. I think when Mark Wazias was quoted, we were at like $2.5 million. And then again, also meeting that reserve level you're talking about, which has been decided by outside agencies. We need to be about at 25% to be healthy, to have a healthy reserve as you go forward, and you start looking at all those things. And we still had some gaps to fill, and slowly but surely didn't make everyone happy. I understand it. This has been, for me, the most difficult budget since I've been a commissioner. So, and there aren't good answers, by the way.
And just to follow that up, so as Commissioner Johnson was saying, we were at about a $2.6 million expected deficit next year, and we have been able to whittle that down to about $317,000 next year. So, a significant amount of progress. Now, some of that closure of that gap was due to our utilization of some of our ARPA funds to fund some of our non-recurring capital needs in the county. We're also bringing over a little over $500,000 of interest income that we've earned on those reserves, which, based on the guidance we received from the federal government, those monies are ours. They do not have to be utilized in support of ARPA initiatives. And so we're going to be bringing that revenue into the general fund next year.
But, the problem with some of that is it's at one time.
That's right.
That's
next
right.
year. That's exactly
it. So you got to figure out, what do you do next? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, that's okay. And so what are some other things that we use to kind of close that gap besides ARPA? As you've, I think reported on, we did go through and identify a handful of positions, and these are open positions, unfilled positions, and based on conversations, we in consultation with the commissioners, we basically put those positions on a indefinite deferral basis, and that doesn't mean that those positions aren't going to be be revisited and potentially filled. But at this point, we wanted to take a cautious approach as we went into next year, a financially prudent position as we look. And again, I think this batch of commissioners, as well as myself, I know Randy and I, we're former private industry guys, and we know the pain that comes with having to furlough people or lay off people. And that is something that I think we are absolutely trying to avoid at all costs. I don't think it serves our county well because it has an exponential impact when you put people in a rural community and you put people out of work in a county where there are not a lot of great employment options to replace good paying jobs. And so we're trying to avoid that at all costs. And so it was a difficult decision as we looked at what those open positions were and determining what the impact was. Was it something that we thought we could do? And so, we moved forward with that. And, that was about $600,000 roughly of cost savings. Another area that we're looking at, and I'm not sure if you listened to our board meeting on Tuesday, but we are looking at our fee schedules across the county, and the Parks and Parks Department did a really good job, I think, of doing a real deep assessment of what our camping and parks fees look like relative to our comparables, within this county. And, so a lot of these fees had not been, adjusted in a meaningful way in quite some time. And so, that was, between adding about between roughly $100,000 to $110,000 of additional revenue to the general fund. We also, and again, this is, I think, coming primarily upon the folks that come to our county outside of our county. About 70% of visitors to our parks are from outside of our county. We're also going to be funding a new parks improvement fund. Those rates that just were passed this last Tuesday are going to basically create a funding stream of about $150,000 a year that we can utilize to improve and expand our park system within our county. So I'm really excited about that, building in a painless revenue stream to fund much needed.
Well, it gets that out of your general fund too, because with that in place, when something needs to be repaired, fixed, improved, they're not going to come to you and say, "Hey, we needed an emergency here."
And we still need to set the guardrails around how those monies are utilized, because one of the things I think that we want to make sure of is that we're kind of preserving that money to really go towards those things that are going to significantly either improve the parks or address some really big ticket things that just wear out at parks, after 40 or 50 years. So, I would hate to see us move to utilizing that fund to pay for, minor work at the parks. I think that I don't think we're going to be able to fully get away from seeing the general fund or our REIT funds potentially being utilized to help support those kinds of things.
Well, you made it. And I guess this is always one of those things where it's like, okay, well, in a couple more months, we'll be back at it again.
And the work doesn't stop. While we have the budget locked down and the ink is just starting to dry on it, the work is not done. We have some things in play right now with some of our other departments to, again, look at our fee and rate schedules. Many of these fee and rate schedules many of them have not been touched, Todd, in over 10 years. And when you think about what our costs for providing those services that those rates are supporting, and I'll just give you a couple examples. I'm talking about like our Department of Community Development, building permits, building plans, those sorts of things, those sorts of services. And then on the Health and Human Services, environmental health front, the various rates and schedules that we charge for septic and other programs that we have there. Many of these haven't been touched in 10 years, but I can tell you our costs for providing those services have not stayed flat in 10 years. And so just intuitively, when you have 50% of your revenue stream that is, really stuck growing at single digit pace, it really puts us in a position where we really have to, I think, look at those rates and make sure that they're in alignment with what our peer group is charging to support those functions. So again, that work is continuing. We're expecting to have, I think, more some preliminary results of that for our commissioners first quarter next year, and hopefully be in a position to start recommending rate adjustments as we believe that they're warranted, sometime middle of next year.
And people may think that we have a lot of room. We're about to enter labor negotiations coming up. So we've got all of our unions, and they're all looking at and last time it was, I thought, a fair negotiation, very difficult. And remember, we had 2.5%. Well, inflation was at 2.5%.
I was going to say your inflation number is a lot higher than that now.
Right. And we're trying to attract employees from other areas. And so if you're not competitive, then where do we go, right? So we're not done, I guess, is what I would say.
I'll have many more things to talk with all of you about, it sounds like, as we end the months to come. Randy Johnson, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
As always, Merry Christmas. And Mark Lane as well, thanks for coming in. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Same here, Todd. Thank you.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
I understand that as our world becomes more automated, receiving personalized service from a real person is more meaningful than ever. I'm Dan Shappy, and as a farmer's agent, I know a thing or two about how to help you select the insurance you want so you can
protect what matters most.
Call 360-681-0696 to learn more and chat with me, a real person and experienced farmer's agent, today.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
There's something truly special about family and friends coming together. At Foghorn Olive Oil and Wine Bar, we invite you to elevate those experiences with the perfect pairing of olive oils and balsamic vinegars. Visit us today and let's celebrate the beauty of family, the joy of friendship, and the love of food. Because when you share our olive oils and balsamic vinegars with your loved ones, you're sharing a piece of your heart. Foghorn Olive Oil and Wine Bar, where memories are made and flavors are shared. Cheers to you and your loved ones.
Stick out your tongue and say, ah, it's the craziest thing you ever saw. Here at Olympic Game Farm, they say howdy with a wave of a paw. Now it's hard to steer clear of the elk and the deer when they pop in to say hello. They've got lions and tigers and bears. Don't forget about the buffalo. It's impossible to stay calm. So come out with your dad and your mom. Canine and feline, you'll find us online at onlygamefarm.com.
Saving on your home improvement projects is almost as important as the service you should receive. With Angelus Millwork, Angelus Rentals, and Hartnagel Building Supply, you can always depend on superior customer service. But did you know that your favorite employee-owned stores have monthly product specials, coupons, and sales? Monthly specials on products that you need now are handpicked so you can save up to 30% when you need it the most. When headed to your mailbox, look for the Valpak envelope with special coupons from all our stores. Angelus Rentals, the only full-service tool rental company in Port Angeles, features a different tool each month that is 25% off. In closing, visit angelusmillwork.com for the latest sale information. We have annual sales on power tools, paint and stain, decking, wood pellets, and more. What we're trying to drive home is there's always a promotion going on, so come see us often or find out more online at angelusmillwork.com. Angelus Millwork and Hartnagel Building Supply. Building homes, building community since 1906.
At Olympic Peninsula Title, old-fashioned customer service never goes out of style. We've been closing real estate transactions in Clallam County for 40 years and have earned the repeat business of our customers. We treat people with respect, do what we say, put the security of our customers' funds and information as priority number one, and always provide service with a smile. When it's time to choose a title company to close your transaction, opt for Olympic Peninsula Title. See why we've been voted best title company in Clallam County over and over again.
The Christmas is Coming sale at Swain's not only brings you the best deals on shoes and clothes for the whole family, but you'll also see the big ticket Christmas gifts too. The Blackstone 2-burner LP Outdoor Griddle is only $249.87. That's a savings of $100. The Coleman 8-person dome tent has a $55 savings at only $94.87. Women's Very G casual boots and shoes are 25% off, and men's Danner work boots are $30 off. Unbeatable prices right now at Swain's General Store.
All right, I'm going to take another quick break, and we'll be back with Kevin Holt, our business guru, and our business bits as we wrap up the Thursday program right after this.
I understand that as our world becomes more automated, receiving personalized service from a real person is more meaningful than ever. I'm Dan Shappy, and as a farmer's agent, I know a thing or two about how to help you select the insurance you want so you can
protect what matters most.
Call 360-681-0696 to learn more and chat with me, a real person and experienced farmer's agent, today.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg is always adding to the list of things they provide to keep your vehicle looking brand new. The full detail shop is just one more service to check off that list. Not only will your interior and exterior shine, your engine will sparkle too. Red Carpet is also getting some winter upgrades, including new equipment in the manual bay and new vacuums. Call Kyle today and let him get you scheduled for your red carpet treatment Tuesday through Saturday. 360-461-0826.
Hello, this is Amanda Huff with Swim Valley and Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapels. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a new, exciting, and environmentally friendly development in the funeral industry. It's called natural organic reduction, or simply terramation. Perhaps you've heard of it. Terramation is a process in which the body, after death, is returned to the earth in a carbon-neutral, eco-friendly manner. The process takes place in a controlled environment, and all that remains is a natural, odorless, compost-like material. If you'd like more information about terramation and advanced planning, call us today at Harper Ridgeview in Port Angeles or Swim Valley Chapel in Swim, and one of our knowledgeable and caring funeral professionals will assist you in answering your questions. Harper Ridgeview and Swim Valley Funeral Chapels, because your loved ones deserve the best.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. This holiday, treat yourself to the best present of all, a hot tub from Olympic. Now until Christmas Eve, save on your new tub and get an amazing gift, a free Smart Top. This awesome hardcover handles Northwest weather, locks in heat, and looks fantastic. Save up to $3,700 during our Santa Loves a Smart Top event. More at OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
Updating the blinds in your house shouldn't be a hassle, but all too often when ordering from box stores, there's a lot of guessing about measurements and what may look decent in the house. Avoid that feeling by purchasing your new blinds with McCrory. Let the experts assist in the style and functionality you need. Measure perfectly right now, installed for free. Plus, through December 18th, all blinds are 25% off. Shop the Blind Store by McCrory in Squim.
All right, last segment on the program. On Thursdays, we devote to our business bets, and that's when our business guru, Kevin Holt, comes in to talk about things that he's observed out there in the world of business and things related to that as well. We've got, we're actually going to put on hold the bigger topic that we were going to talk about, and instead talk about a big topic lately locally, and that is
big, yeah.
Airbnbs. You wanted to weigh in a little bit on some of this.
Well, I've got a couple of things. We've got some interesting research from Irvine, California on Airbnbs, and then we've got some little teaser on some new laws that have just been passed. So again, hold on to your digestion. But the Airbnb, the white hot topic of Airbnb's got everybody talking. Well, Irvine, California, it's got a lot in common with Port Angeles. There's a lot of beaches there. There's a wilderness area there. And there's a little theme park nearby you might have heard of. It's Disneyland or something like that. So the Airbnb, the short-term rentals really exploded in Irvine when those first hit the market. And there was a lot of concern. Fortunately, they're in a college town, so they brought in researchers from Purdue and William and Mary Business School to take a look statistically at what the impacts are, because we've all heard a lot of things about the evils of short-term rentals. So they did a lot of research, and they found that short-term rentals do have some impact on supply and rates, but not near the results that were expected. The research determined that short-term rentals had the most impact on just one part of the housing supply. Now, which part? Well, when we talk about housing, we often talk in terms of three categories: affordable, working family, and market rate. Somewhat euphemistic, but that's our current language. The research showed that in Irvine, California, short-term rentals really only impacted rates and availability of units in the working family category. These are homes that, when they're turned into Airbnb, are attractive, and they're also in a good price point for the buyer. A market rate house, you probably will never be able to rent it for enough to make that mortgage. So that is the impact. And the good news then is that affordable housing doesn't really appear to be impacted by short-term rentals. The bad news is that the working family segment also drives economic development. And we've heard that here in Port Angeles, that's an important component to our strength. The analytics also showed that the short-term rentals slightly increased rents in that category, but only by about 1 to 3%. So the average increase was $100 a month. So generally, not the dramatic impact people were expecting. This was a 3-year effort, and to really get a handle on it, Irvine hired a data company called Host Compliance to find out where everybody was and what they were doing. They checked all the platforms and all the languages, and that got them an inventory. Then they went with a 3-year plan where they could advise all these owners of their coming policies, their timelines, and their options. And the Irvine research, I think, made one really important discovery, but we're going to talk about that in just a minute, because there's a secret untold truth of short-term rentals, and I learned this as a business coach. It turns out that being a short-term rental owner might not be as rosy as it appears. I say this because I had been contacted by a surprising number of owners of short-term rentals in Whatcom, Skagit, King, and Clallam counties in my work in the Small Business Development Center. And what is their challenge? Exactly the same as any other participant in the hospitality industry, and a twist. Like the industry as a whole, short-term rental owners struggle with cash flow. Seasonal demand, high labor costs, and maintenance issues are the problem. The twist is a sudden influx of competitors. One East Whatcom County owner told me when he started, there were 8 other listings in his area, and now there's more than 50. So he even struggles during the high season, and it might be that many short-term owners face that. I also found out there's a lot of turnover in short-term rental space, and by that I mean the owners get tired of the grind of the short stays. Then they move into that medium term where they rent traveling nurses or visiting doctors or attorneys working on a big case. But even that leads to burnout, and the next thing you know, they're right back to regular long-term rentals. So some would say it's not really inventory denied, it's just inventory delayed. What the final Irvine research conclusion I think is really important. They learned, like I did, that the short-term rental owners weren't rolling in money. Many of them were stretched financially. These owners had taken on significant debt to put rentals in the short-term market, and servicing that debt was based on short-term rental income. The researchers cautioned that there are many things to consider when regulating short-term rentals. It's important to be careful about the reversal of policies, they said. When you let something happen and then you restrict it or you ban it, fast-moving changes can affect the personal budgets of your constituents. And the research team was concerned that this impact wasn't always considered in policy decision-making. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really important. You know, if it's been permitted or allowed, then you have to be careful when you step back from it, because people make plans and they make decisions, and they need help and time and support to change their speed.
Yeah.
But speaking of fast-moving changes, we're going to look at a regional story here very quickly. Many of us saw the news that Tacoma's 2023 Landlord Fairness Code initiative had passed in November by 400 votes out of 45,000. Now, you might wonder why we care. Well, the challenge is I-5 contagion. Bad ideas that start in the Puget Sound basin have a habit of leaking down into Olympia, and then the next thing you know. So, as the business guru, I clicked the link in the story and I read the law. And I did the dirty work so the listener doesn't have to, and here's what I learned. The Fairness Code, the Tacoma Landlord Fairness Code initiative, applies to anyone who rents residential properties within the Tacoma city limits, no exceptions. No exceptions for size or anything else. When a landlord rents to a tenant, the total fees for all moving costs cannot exceed 1 month's rent. So first, last, and deposit is out the window. Mm-hmm. Any pet deposit cannot exceed 25% of the first month's rent and must be included in the 1 month rent equivalent unit. Late fees are statutorily limited to $10.
So if I'm late on my rent,
$10.
All I can charge is a $10 fee.
That's it.
Wow.
In order to raise the rent, 2 notices are required, one at 180 days, the second at 90 days, but that's not all. If the tenant's rent is raised more than 5%, the landlord must pay relocation assistance. That assistance is set as up to 3 times the monthly rent if the tenant chooses not to stay.
Oh, my goodness.
Should the landlord need to evict a tenant, the following rules apply. There are no evictions, period, from November to April due to weather. No evictions during the school year if there are school-aged children in the home. No evictions allowed if the tenant is a member of the military, a first responder, a senior citizen, a healthcare provider, or an educator. And last but not least, there's no enforcement mechanism. Instead, the tenant takes the landlord to court for violating the law. If the landlord loses, they get penalties of not less than $500 and up to 5 times the monthly rent per violation. What was that I said about contagion? Well, as I was writing up these notes, Shoreline, north of Seattle, passed Ordinance 966. New landlord-tenant law also provides for additional notice requirements for rent increases, limits move-in fees, forbids access fees, and sets late fees at no more than 1.5%, of the monthly rent. Now, you might say, well, are there some unintended consequences here? Well, I was just talking to some real estate brokers, and what they told me was this week, they've got a real pop in listings.
I bet they do.
People are rethinking their position.
Yeah. So getting out of the rental business, basically.
And so what does that do to supply? Yeah. I think that's going to have a much bigger effect on rental supply than short-term rentals.
Very interesting. Well, it's going to be curious to see how these play out because I'm all for fairness and all of that. I think most people are that. But some of that is so
draconian,
if you will, that I mean, essentially with the Tacoma one, as I'm reading this, I guess you just never can have a rent increase that's more than 5%. That's pretty much where you're limited to.
Well, there's also this concept of what landlords call the professional tenant, a person who's a master of the rules and regulations of tenancy and leverages those to their own advantage. Now, I agree that our whole rental market needs some adjustment. But I think maybe a scalpel instead of a baseball bat might be a better choice.
That's a great way to put it. All right, Kevin, always great to have you.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next week. And Kevin, yourbusinesscoach.com is a place to get in touch with all of the good things that he talks about. We'll do it again next week.
And send me your hate mail. That'll be great.
There you go. And we'll take a break. News is coming up next.
The Swain's General Store Christmas is Coming sale is going on now through December 19th. The clock is ticking and your time is running out. You'll see sales on so many brand names your head will spin. Men's Carhartt socks make a great stocking stuffer with 25% off. Right now, Lee women's jeans are 20% off and Polar Extreme women's fleece line leggings are only $9.97. You'll see great deals on kids apparel too. Polar Extreme hat and glove combo is only $5.87. This and more at Swain's through December 19th.
Of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
White Christmas, made up of 54 words and 67 notes, is the #1 selling Christmas song of all time. But do you know it's a sad story? Irving Berlin, the song's composer, did not celebrate Christmas, as he was a Jewish immigrant from Russia. When he wrote the song, he thought it would be a passing fad, a footnote in a silly musical review. Well, as it turned out, the review was made into a movie, Holiday Inn, and this passing fad became an instant classic. While Berlin did not celebrate Christmas because of his faith, he did have a Christmas Day tradition. Each December 25th, he'd visit the grave of his son who died on Christmas Day in 1928 at just 3 weeks of age. Knowing this makes the haunting lyrics, melody, and smooth voice of Bing Crosby even more meaningful. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas card I write.
Step into the holiday spirit with HMP Flooring, Squim's foundation for festive cheer. Lay down the warmth of family, laughter, and togetherness on floors that witness the magic of the season. May your holiday be as resilient and beautiful as our finest flooring. Wishing you a Merry Christmas, grounded in love and layered with memories. From our HMP family to yours, here's to a season floored with joy.
Sail away to Victoria, BC on the Coho to see the magic of Christmas at the Butchart Gardens. Stroll through the 12 days of Christmas displays with nearly 1 million twinkling lights from December 1st through the 31st. Overnight packages from $169 USD per person, based on double occupancy. Packages include ferry fare, a hotel stay in Victoria, and admission and shuttle to the Butchart Gardens. What a great gift for a loved one or yourself. Learn more at cohoferry.com.
From ABC News, I'm Lindsay Davis, anchor of Prime, streaming weeknights on ABC News Live. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is in Israel meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu and other Israeli officials. The meeting comes as the White House has been urging Israel to show restraint in its military campaign in Gaza. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby with an update.
He did talk about possible transitioning from what we would call high-intensity operations, which is what we're seeing them do now, to lower-intensity operations sometime, in the near future.
U.S. officials say they will continue to support Israel and its fight against Hamas. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he'll keep the Senate in session next week to continue negotiating the Ukraine funding supplemental bill that will also include U.S. border policy provisions.
Members need to be here next week. We have to get this done.
House lawmakers have already left for the holiday break. The European Union's president announced it will open membership talks with Ukraine on joining the EU. Ukraine's president calling it historic. Jury deliberations are now underway in the defamation lawsuit against Rudy Giuliani. More now from ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
With the judge having already determined that Rudy Giuliani defamed the women, the jury is deciding a penalty. Closing arguments featured the attorney for Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss playing this exchange Giuliani had outside court Monday with ABC's Terry Moran, in which the former mayor continued to insist that the women changed votes.
There's no proof of that. Oh, you're damn right there is.
Giuliani's attorney called his client's behavior irresponsible, but said the penalty should be measured. President Biden warning pharmaceutical companies to lower expensive taxpayer-funded drugs or risk losing patents, patents.
You shouldn't pay the highest price in the world for drugs that your tax dollars have already helped create.
The White House says prices for some drugs increased faster than the rate of inflation. You're listening to ABC News.
Thousands of stores across the country are pulling brand-name cold and allergy products off the shelves. Why? Because an FDA advisory panel recently determined that a drug they contain, oral phenylephrine, is ineffective as a nasal decongestant. Navage offers a drug-free solution that's fast and highly effective at relieving nasal congestion caused by colds and allergies. Navage uses suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril to help suck out allergens, mucus, and germs. Nasal irrigation works, and Navage makes it quick and easy, but more than anything, it helps you breathe better. Don't waste your time or money on products that are ineffective. Trust drug-free Navage for fast relief to help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
I'm Lindsay Davis. For the latest on today's headlines, be sure to watch Prime tonight, starting at 7 Eastern on ABC News Live. Now with more news, here's Michelle Franzen.
In New York City, jury deliberations are underway in the Jonathan Majors domestic violence trial. The Marvel actor is facing misdemeanor assault and harassment charges related to an incident with his ex-girlfriend. Yesterday, the judge released new evidence, including text messages, video, and audio for the jury to consider. Potential home buyers locked out of the market due to rising mortgage rates for months are now seeing a break in those rates.
Some relief for Americans hoping to buy a home. For the first time since August, lending giant Freddie Mac says the borrowing cost of a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage has fallen below 7%, now sitting at 6.95%. At the current rate, a $400,000 loan would require a monthly payment of $2,648. That's $229 per month less than it would have cost 2 months ago. And the Federal Reserve indicating cuts next year to the federal funds rate will put even more downward pressure on mortgage rates. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Tech company Cruise, a division of GM, is laying off 900 workers.
It comes as California regulators investigate the crash of one of Cruise's self-driving Chevy Bolts, which in October struck and injured a pedestrian. Company leadership says the cuts allow Cruise to focus on delivering improvements to tech and vehicle performance.
ABC's Mike Dubusky. I'm Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
KONP News brought to you by RE/MAX Evergreen Real Estate Outstanding Agents. Outstanding results, 457-6600. Another candidate now running for the State House position, currently held by Democrat Mike Chapman. Adam Birnbaum of Port Angeles announcing he'll run for the spot next year. He becomes the fourth candidate announcing intentions to run for the position and the third Democrat to enter that race. Birnbaum has served as Senator Kevin Vandeweg's legislative assistant before he stepped down to run for this office.
Here's your Newsradio KONP forecast. Cloudy skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 48. Winds out of the northeast 5 to 10 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected tonight. Chance for isolated showers. Lows dip down to about 40. Cloudy skies expected tomorrow. Slight chance for isolated rain showers. Daytime highs approaching 50. I'm weatherology meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Right now, it's 47 degrees.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, this is The Ramsey Show, where we help people win in their life, specifically their money, in their work, and in their relationships. The phone number to jump in is 888-825-5225, 888-825-5225. I'm Ken Coleman, Ramsey Personality, and I'm joined by Ramsey Personality and my good friend Jade Warshaw. She's our money guru on today's show. I'll help you out in areas of work and income. Getting that income up, and we team up together to take your